From the likes of Platinum Games' ambitious dragon-riding project Scalebound to the visionary ideas of Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima behind PT and the Silent Hills project, countless concepts and games have never made it to the light of a full release. Yet, one of those projects feels mired in every controversy imaginable, from a game director and producer leaving in the midst of development, to infamous litmus tests of feasibility that were impossible to meet, leading to the inevitable cancellation of an entry in a beloved series now regarded as a cult classic. This is the tragedy of Mega Man Legends 3. Let's be real, there is a myriad of videos on this very game. I think that's a testament to how strange the situation surrounding the game was, and the feedback and reception its subsequent cancellation prompted. We know a lot about this game's development, but there's still so much more that we need to try and piece together in order to understand what happened with Mega Man Legends 3. But let's start at the beginning. Originally known as Mega Man Neo and Rockman Dash in Japan, Mega Man Legends was released in 1997 to the United States. You play as a version of Mega Man known as Mega Man Volnut. Volnut is a digger, or a dig-outer, a ruin excavator who searches for crystals known as refractors. These refractors are powerful sources of energy for many of the technologies in the Legends world, and of course, they're highly sought after. While the PlayStation 1 version was generally regarded as superior, especially when compared to the N64 version, there were still some complaints. The biggest ones in regards to the wonky camera and controls, the mishmash of RPG elements, and overall boring graphics. The consistent praise upon the game's story and colorful characters, though, were facets of the game that endear it to players even today. The jump from Mega Man's 2D predecessors to a 3D environment was jarring, however, but the game itself was very popular, especially compared to other franchises who had also made the jump. It was popular enough to have its own spin-off of sorts, The Misadventures of Tron Bonne, released in 1999. It contained a different style of gameplay with more puzzle-focused stages, yet it did come packaged with a Mega Man Legends 2 demo, which was in development at this time. Legends 2 was released in 2000, continuing the story of Mega Man Volnut and going a little off the rails. Overall, the game garnered a popular and positive reception from critics, especially when compared to its predecessor. There were still complaints about the camera and controls, as well as some issues with the level design. However, once again, the story and characters were almost universally praised. Legends 2's story is an engaging tale about the hunt for a mysterious treasure known as the Motherlode, that would end with Mega Man Volnut being trapped upon the Elysium satellite planet, a quote-unquote perfect world that orbited Earth. The cliffhanger ending was something that bothered fans and received a lot of criticism, but it would be answered in the third entry, right? The problem with Legends is that no matter how well received of a series it was, it always undersold. Capcom's heavy hitters were the likes of Street Fighter and Resident Evil. Legends 2 specifically felt set up to fail. The Japanese version of Legends 2 released a month after the PlayStation 2. In North America, Legends 2 released the day before the PS2's launch. There were a few PS1 games that succeeded in a close range to the PS2's release, but to have an entry to a niche series that had control issues so close to the PS2's launch, Legends 2 had a chance, but it wasn't a great one. What came next for the Legends series was silence. The Mega Man X series was well established at this point, with X5 having been released in January 2001 in North America right alongside the PS2. Mega Man Battle Network was coming right behind it, starting off a spin-off series that became one of the most beloved spin-offs in the franchise to date. Mega Man Zero, released in 2002, a difficult, darker spin on the series that still engages many fans to this day. ZX, a sub-series of Zero, and Star Force, a sub-series of Battle Network, both released in 2006, and by this time, Legends fans started to feel a little bit like the forgotten child, getting to see all of their brothers and sisters gaining praise and recognition while fading into the background of themselves. To continue this conversation, we need to bring up the man who is regarded as the father of Mega Man. Despite his insistence in not agreeing with the title, Keiji Inafune joined Capcom in 1987 and immediately set to work on two of its biggest franchises. One of those franchises was Street Fighter, and the other was Mega Man. As an illustrator, Inafune focused primarily on the art for the games, and it wasn't until Mega Man 3 that he began to work on game design itself for the series. In 1996, Inafune had his first game production job becoming the producer of Mega Man 8. 1997 rolled around, and Inafune became the producer of Mega Man Legends, the series' first jump to 3D gaming. After the misadventures of Tron Bonne and Legends 2 released, Inafune had always been expressing interest in making a third entry into the series, but had always pushed it off. It wasn't hard to see why. With the success of the Battle Network and X series, it was hard to fathom going back to one that did not have much of a return for Capcom. In April 2010, Inafune was made global head of production for Capcom. But outside of the previously expressed interest in the third entry, anything regarding Legends was silent. In March of 2010, Nintendo unveiled the Nintendo 3DS, an upgrade to the critically acclaimed Nintendo DS gaming handheld system, with a deeper reveal promised for the E3 stage in June of 2010. In that E3 conference, it was stated that Capcom would be making entries to franchises like Resident Evil and Street Fighter for the 3DS, with Inafune making an appearance in a video package to help promote the company and the new system. For a few more months, Mega Man fans and Legends fans waited with bated breath.
こんにちは、稲船です、とうとうですね、ロックマンダッシュが続編ですね、発表されました。皆さん待ってた人たちも多いと思いますけど、一番このプロジェクトを待ってたのはですね、この僕です。新しい取り組みのゲーム作りっていうのにもチャレンジしていきたいと思ってます。詳細はですね、また後ほど語ることにしますけども、本当にただ単にロックマンダッシュ3を作るというだけじゃなくって、みんなのためにですね、ゲームを作ってるっていう形が、きっちりと見れるように、持っていきたいなと思ってます。期待してください。本当に、嬉しくて仕方がない稲船でした。ありがとうございます。
At the New York Comic-Con in October 2010, Inafune and Capcom revealed the concept of the Dev Room. It was an exciting prospect, one that claimed it would give fans an almost hands-on experience with the game's development, or at least as hands-on as online blogging can get. This included looks into the development process as well as a mixture of fan votes and popularity polls. In October 2010, the Dev Room went live for its first contest. Fans would get to choose the final design of the Mega Man Legends 3 heroine. The Dev Room stated that the design might affect her personality, promising that this element would be a major one in the game. Many character designers from within Capcom were chosen for this contest, but ultimately, it would be Shinsuke Komaki's design that would lead the pack and eventually win the whole thing. The day that the winner was announced, though, another announcement was made. The announcement that Keiji Inafune would be leaving Capcom. The father of Mega Man and someone who had been influential in the creation of Mega Man Legends was to be gone from the company. Naturally, this threw the entire development idea behind Legends 3 into chaos. How would they go on without Inafune? On November 2nd, the development team would post on the Dev Room stating that they were to push forward. They would continue with development and make sure that the game was released to the public. As November continued, we would see the fruits of the design team's labor, with the final design of the heroine and her name being revealed. Initially, she was revealed as Arrow, before it was announced that her name would actually be Sapphira in North America. This was eventually changed again, and she would be known as Arrow in all versions. On the same day, another contest was announced, the Bonne Mecha Contest. Fans would have an opportunity to submit a mission idea for the game, in which the Bonds would use a mecha, including how it would attack and how it could be beaten. The Townspeople event would follow in December, asking fans to give names and personalities to pre-made designs for townsfolk in the game. January would see the results of the Townspeople event, but not many notable updates after that. However, in February, a post was made on the Dev Room titled A Declaration of Resolve by game director Masakazu Iguchi. This post was the first real crack in the Dev Room's armor. During a meeting, Iguchi had someone mention the distance between the dev team and the Dev Room users. This had hit a figurative nerve for Iguchi, and really made him consider what he was doing and why he was doing it, ending with the titled Declaration of Resolve. making sure that fans knew that he was fully invested in this project. Later on in the post, it was stated that Mega Man Legends 3 was soon going to begin the greenlighting process. There were a few comments of shock here. The game hadn't even been greenlit yet. All this work was for something that might not happen. Yet there were also some comments of encouragement, making sure that Iguchi felt the comforting weight of the dev room users who had worked so tirelessly to help make this happen. 2 days after the dated greenlight meeting, there was a post by Tatsuya Kitabayashi, the game's producer, informing the dev room and its users about the results of the meeting. The game's trial period had been extended, meaning that the Legends 3 dev team had a little bit more time to work on it. As for how long, according to Kitabayashi, it depended on the excitement surrounding the game and another secret condition. There's speculation surrounding what this condition might have been, but I have not been able to find a concrete answer. Regardless, the development cycle continued. March came, and with it, another update from Iguchi, showing screenshots of one of the beta builds of Legends 3. In these screenshots, we can see the progress being made, including test maps and a shot of ruins, as well as a few main towns and cities. A few days later, Iguchi returned with another update, a chance for fans to get their hands on Mega Man Legends 3 early. On March 29th, attendees of the Nintendo Cross Capcom Premium Demonstration event would have an opportunity to play one of the builds for Legends 3, something Iguchi was extremely excited about. After all, how could DevRoom users really make a game without getting their hands on it? While North American DevRoom users were slightly bummed about the lack of an opportunity overseas, excitement began to seep throughout the community. However, the Nintendo Cross Capcom Premium Demonstration event would never come to pass.
In New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. It is Saturday morning in Japan. The sun is up and the extent of the catastrophe is becoming painfully clear. It's been nearly 24 hours since a powerful earthquake touched off a huge tsunami that swept across Japan's east coast.
On March 11th, 2011, at 2:46 p.m. local time, the most powerful earthquake recorded in Japan struck the northeastern region of their largest island, Tohoku. This earthquake registered as a 9.1 and was undersea, causing a devastating tsunami that was reported anywhere from 9 feet high to 20 feet high. The resulting tsunami also caused the Fukushima nuclear reactor disaster, which rated as a 7 on the International Nuclear Event Scale, the highest possible. Kinako Ikawa, the Legends 3 web planner and author of Kinako's Daily Report, the most consistent updates the dev room had, posted a small blurb that day regarding the earthquake. Today, right during snack time, there was an enormous earthquake. It didn't shake that much here in Osaka, where their Legends 3 team is, so at first many of us were like, gee, I feel kind of wobbly. I wonder if I've been working too hard. I thought the same thing. But then the shaking continued for quite a while, and we heard concerning reports that things were worse further north. With the tragedy in Japan fresh in everyone's minds, Kinako would return that Monday, extending a heartfelt message to everyone who was affected by the quake. The announcement of the latest event, the Town Easter Egg event, where fans got a chance to make their own Easter egg within the towns, would be postponed. The following day, Kinako stated that following a discussion within the team, DevRoom updates would pause for the foreseeable future. As expected, soon after, Capcom Japan announced the cancellation of the Capcom Cross Nintendo Premium Demonstration event. Fans of Mega Man Legends 3 would, understandably, need to wait a little longer to get their hands on a build. In early April, Tatsuya Kitabayashi returned, promising more updates as they did their best to create something everyone could enjoy in the tragic times, including an illustration with the banner stating "Go Japan." Kinako's daily reports also returned, and within a few days, the next polling event began, giving fans a chance to vote on new Mega Man Volnut suit designs. They could choose between Legends 2 design or 2 new designs, one being labeled detailed and the other armored. The selections for the town Easter eggs were also announced, but the biggest update this month was teased by Greg Moore on April 15th. In it, he said that April 21st would have an unveiling of sorts, and that more screenshots would be shared by Iguchi before that. Sure enough, on April 19th, Iguchi would share more screenshots of the game-making process, including a day-night cycle and more shots of the city. The countdown had begun to the 21st, where it was finally revealed. Mega Man Legends 3 prototype version was going to launch alongside the Nintendo eShop. This jam-packed prototype version was going to serve as a prologue to Legends 3, including 10 missions that would see you play as Barrett, the reckless leader of a Sky biker gang. It also promised something very interesting: access to the debug menu, as well as to areas not yet completed once the game was finished. This is an aspect I don't remember ever seeing before, to give fans this unadulterated access to areas that are specifically listed as not being finished in Legends 3. But it came off as the dev team being confident in their work. Iguchi would make a separate blog post in which it was stated that the heat and excitement surrounding this downloadable title would determine whether or not the full game would be greenlit. If the hype is strong, the full title will be a go. If not, it's a no-go. I don't even want to think about that outcome. Nevertheless, fans were ecstatic. They would have an opportunity to play a part of the game that they had been waiting so long for. Throughout April and into May, we would begin to hear more and more about this new protagonist Barrett, as well as other characters that had been implemented into the new game's story. In May, we got even more screenshots of Barrett and Arrow, alongside many of the game's notable characters like Tron Bonne and Roll. However, on May 11th, Nintendo made the announcement that the Nintendo eShop, formerly planned to release at the end of May, had been delayed to June. On May 20th, Kitabayashi also made the announcement that the Legends 3 prototype version would also be delayed. June entered, and we got some production art, but notably, the updates were starting to thin out. Kinako continued her daily reports, but there wasn't much substance in them. Q&As, small updates, but nothing really regarding development of the game, and certainly nothing regarding the release date of the prototype version. The eShop, by this time, had launched. But where was Legends 3? July 2011, Kinako continued her daily reports, and we got some lovely production art of Roll, and even an update on the biker gang's mascot selections. But that was all at the start of the month. On July 18th, the message that fans had been dreading came to pass, in an update titled "A Message from Capcom." We'd like to thank you for your ongoing loyal support of Mega Man Legends 3. Today, however, we must regrettably announce the discontinuation of this project. From the outset, the Mega Man Legends 3 project was intended to give gamers across the world insight and input into the development process. Part of this process includes an assessment of whether the title will go into full production, and is based on a number of criteria with input from different sectors of the company. Unfortunately, it was not felt that the Mega Man Legends 3 project met the required criteria, and it is with regret that we must announce the Mega Man Legends 3 project has been cancelled, meaning that Capcom will not be releasing the prototype or the full game. Additionally, updates of the Mega Man Legends Developer Room will cease as of today, though the North American Developer Room and its forums will remain open indefinitely. We can only express our deepest apologies to all of you who have lent us your unending support, including participation in the Mega Man Legends 3 Developer Room. On behalf of the entire Legends team, please accept our sincere apology for failing to meet the expectations of the fans. This message was received poorly. Immediately, fans were furious at Capcom after seeing all of their hard work and the developers' time spent working on this game go to waste. This was an issue that happens all the time nowadays in game development. Countless ideas barely get as far as Legends 3 did, and the game wasn't even greenlit yet. The fires were raging from the fans, but they did have a chance to cool down. Unfortunately, it was only going to get worse, and all it took was one single tweet. While many of the fans took their laments to Twitter, it was a reply to one of these tweets by Capcom Europe that really set the fans ablaze. In a reply to one of these fans, Capcom Europe stated that the reason for the game's cancellation was because fan interaction was so low, and the lack of fan interaction was the primary reason that the game was cancelled. A lot of users took this as Capcom essentially blaming the fans for the game's cancellation, which infuriated them even more. A lot of fans took this tweet as gospel, especially when Capcom had been tight-lipped about the criteria that Legends 3 had not met. Had the dev room really not met expectations? Was the community really even so small despite all of the interactions on the blog posts and forums? Capcom Europe would backtrack their comments and state that they had meant it in a different manner, directing the tweets to be towards the dev room as a marketing tool and not at the fans themselves. In 2013, Greg Moore would make a post on the Capcom forums, stating that this was a normal occurrence in the industry, but the difference here was how public the game's development actually was. This was just before the time of Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and the fact that the development team had been so public about everything leading up to this game made the cancellation hurt all the worse. All these development plans being scrapped with no hope for the future was hard for a lot of these fans to process. There have been countless projects by the fans attempting to reinstate the game. 100,000 Strong was one of these projects attempting to get 100,000 people to join the fight and get Capcom to make Legends 3 a reality, including their very own documentary, which touches on a few things that I don't, which you can check out in the description. The reality is, Legends 3 was not a finished product. It was nowhere close. It had a sample build that was going to be turned into a prototype that, yes, the fans could have played themselves, similar to that of PT. Yet the problem with this project was that the fans were so involved in the development of this game, yet had nothing to show for it. The fans felt the same despair that I'm sure the development team felt once they received the bad news, because they, as fans, had contributed to the development cycle so heavily, yet the game had never been greenlit. That in of itself was a huge problem with the way the dev room carried itself, because it came as a surprise to a lot of people when Iguchi mentioned the fact that it had not gone through the greenlighting process. The fan interaction almost banked on the idea that Legends 3 was real and coming, not that it hadn't even been approved yet. Outside of the development team, there was a single journalist that had a chance to play Mega Man Legends 3 prototype version, which was Nintendo Power's Chris Hoffman. Chris had a Q&A with Games Radar about the time he spent playing the game, and he gave quite a few details about the 10-mission demo. The recurring theme from that interview is that Hoffman felt that the game was true to form with the Legends series. Hoffman stated that if you enjoyed the prior two Legends games, you were going to enjoy this one, especially for the $2 that the prototype version was going to cost, had it released in the eShop when planned. The prototype version, any builds, any full game, has been lost to time. Even in this day and age of people diving into lost media quests, no build of Legends 3 has ever surfaced. As an avid fan of the Legends 3 series myself, I unfortunately think that Legends 3 was doomed from the start. To have so much fan input in the development cycle before the game was even greenlit brought a huge challenge with it. The turnaround time from idea to asset is so long, especially in game development, and to have such a large amount of users all looking for their ideas to be heard only added more and more wrinkles to the game's development. On top of that, it cannot be overstated that Legends 1 and 2 did not sell well. To change the fundamental design of Mega Man by pulling him into a 3D plane was not regarded as a successful project by Capcom. Even now, Mega Man is in a state of flux, with the last game in the main series returning to its roots with Mega Man 11 in 2018. Since then, it's been re-release after re-release, with the Legacy collections containing X, Zero, and most recently, the Battle Network collection. It's still entirely possible that the Legends series finds a collection of its own. There were 3 games, if you count the Misadventures of Tronbon. And most recently, fans have unearthed playable builds of a mobile-only, Japan-only game titled Rockman Dash Great Adventure on 5 Islands. All that is to say, even with the reception of the Mega Man collections that have recently released, Mega Man is still in a weird place. Obviously, these old nostalgic games are now available to the greater public for them to enjoy, but the Legends series having been such a passion project by Inafune, and the rest of the development team without having the same commercial success, it's going to be a lot more challenging to sell to an audience who might not even know what these games were. On the other hand, remasters and remakes are sort of all the rage right now. Look at all the excitement that Argonaut Games created with the re-release and remake of Croc and Legend of the Gobos. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 recently released, with 3 and 4 incoming this summer. All of those games so far have had critical acclaim. The Mega Man series needs a shot in the arm. Legends could possibly be the one to do that. Sure, there's a market for 2D platformers still, and I think there always will be. But there has to be innovation, maybe even a twist. Look at Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It takes a formula and adds a new twist and exciting visuals to make a brilliant game. Even Mega Man 11 back in 2018 took a formulaic approach and added to it with the double gear system. And I think it did so in a pretty good way. But again, Mega Man 11 was released in 2018. At the time of writing, that was 7 years ago. All the games since, excluding a pretty good mobile game, have been re-releases of some form. I think at this point, the market for remasters and remakes is oversaturated. But if any series needs it, I think it would be the Legends series. There's enough of a fan base that the opportunity to put Mega Man back into a 3D environment might be something worth doing, especially with updated controls. Look at the experience that Capcom has with 3D franchises nowadays. Devil May Cry, Monster Hunter, even Okami. There's success there, and it's a type of success that could translate into the Mega Man Legends series, if it was ever brought back from the dead. But reasonably so, the hope is paltry at this point. It's been over 10 years since Mega Man Legends 3 was cancelled, and over 20 since Legends 2, the last game in the series, was released. Legends fans are hopeful for anything. Hell, I remember losing my mind when Mega Man Volnut appeared in Mega Man's Final Smash in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. A simple cameo, and I nearly reacted with the same excitement that I would have for a new character. Legends 3, the dev room, and the whole story of this game is a tragedy. It is a collection of ideas, stories, and actions of passionate individuals that amounted to nothing tangible. But it's a story I think is worth revisiting. It shows this fire that the development team had back then. It shows the unity of a fan base that had something to hope for. It presents an interesting dynamic and dive into a beloved franchise, the likes of which we may never see again. I think ending off this video with a quote from Greg Moore from that 2013 forum post is fitting. The dev room and the Mega Man Legends 3 project's utter transparency were nigh unprecedented experiments with high risks. They were risks that sadly delivered the full brunt of their severity. Look at us, 2 years later, and we're still here talking about it. I want to know, guys, and please take this question in earnest. Knowing how the project turned out, would you rather have not known about its existence to begin with? I want to believe that despite the grief, despite the years of community managing that have resulted for me and my team, all of whom were not in the company's employ at the time of the cancellation, there was still merit in the experiment for you and for me. The Mega Man community is the strongest and most aligned it's ever been. We didn't get a game, but we got real stories of human beings coming together with other human beings and doing incredible things. I'm not trying to give the company a pat on the back for this incidental outcome. I'm giving you all a collective one. Remember to give yourselves a pat on the back every so often, my friends. Thanks for watching. I love you all, and please take care.